What are we doing?
We're going to talk about. I read something on LinkedIn here in the Loop podcast that said that the next 10 years are going to have more change than the 100 years before that. And I thought that's a big statement that in a 10-year period.
No, wait, why are they saying that? Because of AI? Well, like, why
Correct,
are they saying that?
Correct. It was an AI-based post saying that because of AI, the change from 2025 to 2035 is going to be greater than the last 100 years.
Okay.
Now, I want to adapt that prompt just a little bit. Shut your phone off. That wouldn't have happened in 1925. I'm gonna shift that a little bit because I think it's easier to talk 1900 to 2000. That's 100-year period.
That's a 100-year period,
and it's nice round numbers, easy to talk about. So the prompt there, the premise was the upcoming 10 years because of AI are going to change more than in a 100-year period. And I was thinking, could you really change more than what the change was from 1900 to 2000? Because I grew up in the late 1900s. That sounds hilarious.
You sound like you're 100 years old.
80s and 90s.
You're 100 years old, man.
And I was thinking, okay, well, yeah, AI in the next 10 years we're going to have some more robots. We're going to have some more self-driving cars. We're going to have, it's going to write more essays for kids at school. It's going to be doing some teaching somewhere, right? You'll have AI teachers and stuff like that. But is that really greater than the difference between like 1900 and 2000? And I would say, I was watching something recently on Teddy Roosevelt, and I mean, he was campaigning for president in a horse buggy in the 1900. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
literally a horse and a buggy?
Correct. He was driving around.
He didn't have the, what is it? I think it's called the Beast, that limo that's like bulletproof and bomb-proof and all that.
Not only did he not have that,
he was just a horse and a buggy.
There weren't cars at all, right? So if you think transportation-wise, I can't imagine, because what I was telling you when we sort of like stumbled upon this idea, it was like, how different does 1995 look than 2025? If you just get in a car and drive around, I don't know that it looks terribly different. You got similar roads, similar cars, similar businesses. They're a little more modern now, a little nicer, and you know more about them because you have a mobile phone. But the actual infrastructure doesn't feel that much different.
Well, from a car perspective, I like cars. So I have a 93 Ford Bronco. And it fits in with the other cars that I have.
Yeah, everybody's
it doesn't look like it's out of place.
Right, everybody's like, that's cool. That's older.
It'll still do 80 miles an hour down the highway with cruise control.
Yeah, and the windows are similar. The radio is similar, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Same number of wheels. Motor still under the hood. Yeah. It hasn't like completely morphed into just something where you barely recognize it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, how different does your Bronco look versus a modern Tahoe?
Not too different, actually.
Tahoes has smoother edges, right? Yeah, fancier electronics, but...
Yeah, it might ride a little smoother or something of that nature. But basic functionality is almost exactly the same.
Do you think that
hasn't changed?
Do you think that Bronco is slightly different than that buggy that Roosevelt was riding in?
Yeah. Yeah, man, Bronco's got AC and cruise control. It'll cruise 80 miles an hour down the highway, like no problem.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to make a pitch.
That buggy has no AC or cruise control and probably does what, like 5 miles an hour?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down no highway.
And what actually
didn't exist.
What actually started this was to go back another 50 years to 1850 when Kit Carson and John Fremont. What did they do? They went to California and they try to claim California. So
that's what started the whole conversation.
Yes.
Really, kind of.
So let's just use that as a reference point here because I think
there's a whole conversation there though. where they make it to the other side. They get all.
Hold on, who's the president at this time? I forgot.
It's
Polk?
not Polk. It wasn't Andrew. It was Polk.
Okay.
They get all the way to the other side.
How long did it take them to get there? Months.
Months, like a
Right.
year, I think. They get all the way to the other side
Of North America. They
of North
found the-
America.
Okay.
They do the whole thing. They're trying to expand the land, and they get there and they make it to the ocean. And then Fremont looks at Kit Carson and is like, "Okay, got to go back and tell the president we made it."
so Fremont's going to stay in California, claim it.
Claim it
And Fremont and Kit Carson's whole job now
just to
is
go back.
to did he had a horse, I'm assuming.
He had a. Yeah, I think he started off with a horse and
Go
some gear.
ride that thing all the way back to Washington and
Yeah, but
tell
it
the
took him
president.
like a year.
So there was no mail system to tell him that.
No,
there
no.
was no communication. And so that's before our theoretical time period, but that's close.
That's close.
Like into technology was close there. So I'm gonna say that I think that the technology difference, while today's stuff is cool, right? Let's do the automated videos, let's do the automated narratives, or the write a paper, or ask AI a question, AI run the factory kind of thing. That's cool. But I don't know that it's safe to say that the 10 years that we're looking forward up to are really going to match the vast difference between a horse and buggy and a modern car. Or the fact that Roosevelt had no airplane option, wasn't even invented yet. And then in the year 2000, we're flying everywhere. We've already been to the moon. We've already... You know what I'm saying? Like the difference between horse and buggy and moon.
Yeah.
Those are huge
wild.
differences. And then communication wise, what was there in 1900? I guess do we have the telephone by that time?
Telegraph.
Do we have the telephone by that time?
I don't think we had the telephone. Did we have the telephone in 1901, Danielle? I'm pretty sure no. We had telegraph though. You could wiretap, right? On a telegraph.
Correct. Yes.
Otherwise,
So
it was
Kit
like, it was
Carson
like-
would have been able to.
Telephones absolutely existed in 19. That's what it says.
Oh, nice.
Telephones.
Telephone has been patented, and it was patented in 1876.
Okay. 76.
So it could have been, just because it's patented though, it doesn't mean it's widely available. So those are two different things. So it could have been widely available because that's 25 years, right?
Right. Well, not everyone had plumbing at this point. Not everyone had electricity. The telephone's just getting started. You're in a
No.
horse and buggy. You got
Oh,
no
yeah.
planes. And now in the year 2000, when I was going to college, we had
Everything.
and we
Yeah.
and we assumed we had basically everything we had today except
Yeah,
for a really great internet. But and great mobile phones. But we had everything else. In that 100-year period, we went from dirt basically to really
Well, I
where you
think-
just
I think
expect the niceties.
Majority of the homes didn't have indoor plumbing or electricity in America at that time. Like that was the standard was no indoor plumbing or electricity
Yeah.
across all of America.
Yeah, so what could happen, Blake,
Like-
in the next 10 years?
Hold on. I got another one for you because then I
Okay.
started researching this after we had this conversation. Just in Texas, we're in Texas, based in Houston. We got I-10.
There we go.
Right out our window, major highway. Everybody drives on it. It's crazy. It goes all the way across the U.S. I think it's the longest continuous road in the U.S. right now. I believe so. Is that true, Danielle? Danielle's going to fact check me on that.
What is it?
I-10, is it the longest continuous road in the U.S.? I believe so. Just the Texas portion, though. When was the Texas portion of I-10 complete? Meaning that it actually went from Louisiana border to the El Paso or New Mexico border. So when do you think they completed I-10?
So as someone who's grown up where it always existed, and it was a huge asset my whole life. Like
Yeah,
that
pretty
road,
much my whole life.
I've lived on
I-10
that
has
road
been there.
and I've used it constantly.
Yeah.
And
want
it's
the
been well, he already knows. the answer.
Wait. What did I ask?
The longest highway
Yeah, the longest highway. Is it
in the
I-10?
U.S.
Yeah.
It's not I-10.
Oh, man.
It's I-90.
Oh, I-90. Okay,
Mm.
that goes at the top.
I-10 is 2,460 miles. I-90 is 3,020.
Okay. I-90 is at the top.
That's quite a difference. I would expect since 10 had to make the jaunt up Texas when it gets to the West Texas and it goes up, I would assume they would have had extra distance.
I would assume too, but I guess
And then
I
like
was wrong.
20 and 40 and 80 would have been like straight across.
Straight across. Anyway,
We'll have to research 90 and see what it looks like. I-90.
you use I-10 every single day. It's been there since you were born. When do you think they completed it?
Well, you already told me this answer, so I'm not good at playing dumb.
Oh man, you should play dumb.
No. So what? It got started in like the 50s, late in 60s, and it didn't get finished until the 80s.
That's right.
It didn't punch all the way through till the 80s.
The 80s. I think it was 83 is when they finished it in Texas.
Yeah.
1983.
But 1900, you didn't even have the car. So you went all the way from no car to a road, like a highway, multi-lane highway that you just
Spanned
hop in and
thousands
go
of miles.
70 miles an hour.
Yeah. That's wild, isn't it? 1983. I thought it existed longer than that. I got to be honest with you. Before I did some research about it. I mean, I thought it was around for a long time, but I grew up and it was always pretty much there. I mean, 1983 is before or after I was born, after you were born,
Yeah.
but not too long after I was born and not too long after you were born. So I pretty much grew up and I-10 has just always been there and they're always changing it and always expanding it. I had no clue that it didn't exist until the 80s.
Yeah, so it's a shocking amount of change in that
That's
time
a
period,
shocking
isn't
amount
it?
of change.
Now, there are things in the last, 25 years, and that will happen in the next 10 that I think are really big changes, but I don't think they shock your system the way these changes, the way that housing is expected to be, so well taken care of, and so with all the utilities and everything, the difference in those 100 years, the transportation difference, the flying difference, the communication difference,
It's wild.
shocking amount of difference.
Yeah,
because
I went down.
we
a
have it
rabbit
pretty
hole,
simple
though,
right now,
looking
right?
into that kind of stuff because I was like, what? I went down a rabbit hole. So we travel a lot for work, right? And I'll routinely travel 1,000 miles. Let's just say 1,000 miles to go to a client site or go do something for work, right? Either I'm going to a site or I'm going to a meeting or something. 1,000 miles. And I'll make that trip in a day. In 1900, that would have taken 3 to 4 weeks
I think longer.
to make that same relevant trip. And then on the not the plus side, but in addition to it taking 3 to 4 weeks, there was no communication back. So I leave my family right now. I leave my family. I go 1,000 miles to a meeting, and then I come back the next day. And I can call my family pretty much anytime on that trip. They know where I'm at. They can even follow me on my phone.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, in 1900, there was none of that. You leave for 3-4 weeks, you may never come back. They don't know where you're at. All they know is you went on a trip to go to some city to do some business, and maybe you make it back, maybe you don't, because it's going to take 2-3 months for you to get there and back.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, extraordinary amount of change.
That's an extraordinary amount of change.
Now, I want to make 2 points. One is I've been getting more into history lately because there's a lot of information available, and then I was kind of questioning myself a little bit in terms of, why don't I remember more of this from school? And I was talking to my kids about it, and I think one of the reasons was when I was going to high school, let's say early 90s, mid 90s, the internet was just beginning. There wasn't a whole lot on it, right? And so if you were in school that day and there was a subject that you thought was kind of interesting, but you didn't feel like you got all of it, you didn't have a lot of material unless you were going to go to the library. You didn't have a lot of material to go do your own research. You would go to the encyclopedia. We had an encyclopedia on the wall. I could find a couple of paragraphs on that topic. That's it. I couldn't go to Prime Video and download a documentary. I couldn't go to the
Google.
internet and look it up. And so I did all my assignments and I did them really well. But at that time, I didn't dive into history because I don't know if there was as much to dive into, unless you were a real big reader and you wanted to go to the library and get those books, but that wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I think that element, like a kid today who hears a topic and says, something was funny about that lesson. I want to know more. I don't understand the way it was presented. I think it's really cool. They kind of
got resources.
They could go get hours and hours of resources to look that up, which is quite a bit different. So obviously the amount of information is there, but visually, that doesn't change the way our buildings look and our roads work and all that as much, right?
Yeah.
Now, I did a little search to ask, the internet this question about the delta between 1900 and 2000, and was that the greatest, the century of the greatest change? And there was an argument that 1800 to 1900 was actually a more significant change.
Oh wow.
And I don't have all of the breakdown of what that is, but it's an interesting thought there, that like the concept of the steam engine and the concept of the factory, going from the farm to the factory was a bigger change than going from the factory to the office, and going from getting the train was bigger than getting the automobile.
I think I'm looking at it though in like a individual basis. Like, how does it affect you individually, right? Because literally, like 3 generations basically ago, like my great grandparents, if you will, they grew up in Kansas. Their first house had dirt floors with like no plumbing and no electricity. That was just 3. Like, I knew my great grandparents. They were alive when I was alive, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like commonplace. Like, you wouldn't buy a house today that has dirt floors in it with no plumbing and no electricity. You wouldn't even call that a house.
Not in America, you wouldn't.
Yeah. You wouldn't even call that a house. That would not even be, that would be like a barn or a shed, right?
Yeah.
That's what people lived in. Like in the early 1900s.
Right, and we didn't even mention air conditioning in our first go-round on the 1900 to 2000.
Yeah.
So right now, if you get a home today, or even if you got one in 2000, you are 100% expecting plumbing, electricity, refrigeration, and air conditioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And electricity. Did I say that? You
said it twice.
Okay, there we go.
But that's how important it is. You can't have refrigeration or AC or heat without electricity.
Well, I think that's kind of like Chris Wright, who we met, who's the Secretary of Energy now. We met him a few years ago before he was in that position, and I mean he's real big on energy. Just get all you can go for the green stuff if you want, but go for all of it. Get the energy, because that's the one thing that supports your better education, your better health, your better comfort. All of that is having that energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. So there are, you're describing a home in that 1900 time period where that was a common scenario.
Yeah, I had to go and talk to my grandmother, who's still around. My great grandparents aren't around anymore. But my grandmother, I had to go and talk to her after we had that conversation, because I was like, man, what was it like when they were growing up? Like, what was common to them? That was common. That's how they grew up.
But your kids today, they're not all that much different. They're day to day than you when you were growing up. They still want to wake up, have a bowl of cereal, watch something on a screen.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Listen to some music, play with a toy, go outside. I mean, how different is that, right? They're not milking cows. They're not
drastically.
They're not reading by candlelight. They're not riding in a horse and buggy to go somewhere, right?
I would say it's not drastically different. So when I was growing up, right, the thing to do on like a Saturday was you wake up, you do what you say, get your bowl of cereal, you watch some cartoons, right? Bugs Bunny or whatever.
They might watch it on a tablet.
Whatever.
You watch it on TV.
That's what I was gonna say. The difference
They'll do it on
is-
demand. You watch whatever was broadcast.
Yeah,
but it really didn't look
that's-
that much different. If you were an alien and you came down and you looked from 1995 to
difference, right?
2025, would it look that different?
Not really. But the difference is what you just said, right? Like I watched it on the TV and it was whatever was broadcast, right? And you might have to flip the channels until you find something you like. Well, now they have a tablet or whatever and they stream it instantly. But they're still doing functionally basically the same thing. Getting their bowl of cereal, eating it while they watch cartoons. Like that's
Kind of like
the same thing.
yeah. I mean, to go back a little bit further, that was kind of like when who's it? Andrew Jackson fought that big battle for New Orleans, but that was I guess the Spanish American. Anyway, the
British?
treaty had already been signed.
When he fighting the British, you're talking about when he had to like
Drug the cannons through the swamp.
Through the swamp, yeah.
Was
That was the British. He was fighting the
but
British.
1812.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so in that scenario, to go on this communication theme, they had already signed a treaty to end the war, but they fought that battle anyway because nobody knew.
Yeah, they just didn't even know about it.
And they're like,
Yeah.
they're like weeks or months later, they just fought it because they thought they were supposed to. And
Yeah,
they're
the
like,
army was already on the way, right? Their British naval ships were already on the way. He had to block them off.
they couldn't just text them and tell them to come back.
yeah. They couldn't just hop on a cell phone and be like, wait a minute, guys. We signed a treaty over here.
Okay, so one of the big fundamental differences, though, that has happened in the past 20 years has been actual work from home. You had work from home in 2000, but it was like medical billing or something where you just, you go pick up a packet and you can type it in. And some people did, right? Or a doctor or a psychiatrist or something could have a home office or a home studio. There wasn't a lot of, some people.
It wasn't commonplace.
It wasn't common. And now, of course,
Now it's common.
it's extremely common, and so much so that some people make an argument that they never need to go to the office.
I would say that didn't happen until 2020, though. So
it didn't. You're right.
Prior to 2020 and that whole jacked up period with COVID that we all experienced, I would say it was not commonplace to have large populations working from home. That wasn't commonplace.
Yeah, that's not going away though. It's reducing, but it won't go away completely.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to put the toothpaste back in the tube there. Some people are not putting regular shoes on. They're just going to work in their den.
Yeah.
Because they know they can.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so to wrap this
No
back
pants.
around to the prompt, stop it. To the prompt, what could possibly happen in the next 10 years that would equate to a bigger change than going from horse and buggy to Bronco and going from horse and buggy to airplane and going from no plumbing to what if back to that prompt that said, hey, I think the next 10 years are going to be the biggest change, bigger than 100 years change. What could possibly be wrapped up in that would actually make that true?
From like a day-to-day perspective, it's hard, I guess, to wrap your mind around that. From an information perspective, I think, like you were just talking, it has changed from when you went to school and now your son is in school, right? And like you said, when you went to school and you heard a subject, well, pretty much the book that you had in front of you, and whether you went to the library or had an encyclopedia, that was your information that you could get on whatever topic it was. Well, now your son today and kids today, anybody today, I mean, you have a device in your hand that can literally give you any information that you possibly want, right?
Yeah.
And you still got to search for it and you still got to look for it. But with AI, now you don't even really have to search for it. You can just ask AI.
If you just had
ChatGPT,
like a little partner, like the old movies where you got the the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, and they're talking to you.
Yeah.
So if in 10 years the AI is just your little companion sitting on your shoulder, and somebody says something and it's like, that's not entirely true. Here's the real answer, or you should bring up this question next, or something like that. That'd be pretty big. I guess when I first read it, I thought what my eyes see and what I see on a day-to-day and the shoes I wear and the way I move, I was thinking, well, I bet these 10 years from now, it's not going to visually look all that different, right?
I don't think it might not, but I think the information will change. And there's a, I think it was Jensen. It might have been Jensen, the NVIDIA guy. I can't remember. I was reading something about it, and he had an interesting take on it. That in the future, and I don't know if it was an interesting take. I don't know if I necessarily agree or don't agree. His argument, though, and I don't quote me on Jensen because I'm not 100% sure of that. The argument was, though, is that you got guys like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, right? They're Mark Zuckerberg, whatever. They have ideas, and then they were fortunate enough that they had these ideas, and they were in a place and in a time where they had enough resources around them to see those ideas through.
Okay.
Right? And so now they're like these big guys and, whatever, billionaires, whatever you want to call them, but they're titans of industry. I'll call them that. His argument is that there are more people like that have those ideas in the world than you think. They just might not be in a situation to have the resources to see all of their ideas through. And what the technology is going to do within the next 5-10 years with AI, with other things like that, it's going to allow those people to get resources to see their ideas through. So the guys that are going to be the most valuable are not necessarily the guys, because right now you have to have an idea, and then Elon Musk talks about it all the time. You have to have an idea, but more importantly right now, you have to be able to execute that idea. And if you can't execute it, your idea is basically worthless, right? I mean, that's kind of what he said. Well, what this article was saying is that the technology is going to get to a point that it's going to help people execute their idea.
Yeah, so where in the past you had to find the perfect engineer to bring your idea to life, or the perfect manufacturing partner or something like that, maybe now you'll be able to describe that idea, get the boost that you need, fill that gap without getting lucky enough to just find the right partner. Because some of those things you're going to be asking for aren't really a new idea. It could be a reference point. You just need a more dynamic reference.
Yeah.
Because the references in the past were not dynamic, right? The books that you were looking at, like you had to work, couldn't search the book the way you wanted to search an article. We read things differently, of course.
It's kind of funny, though, because that kind of fits your analogy, right? Like your son's analogy versus you. Because that's basically what he was saying.
True, I probably wanted more information at that time. I just didn't really feel like there was a good way to get it. And so I didn't pursue it very well.
Yeah, and what this article was saying is that that's going to change. That is going to change. That's going to be the big change. The big change is going to be these people that actually have ideas on how to do things. There's going to be more of those people that pop up because now they'll be able to have something to give them the resources they need to actually execute on those ideas.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I'll stand by my point, though. Physical, we talk about a lot of stuff, whether you're, even working virtually or working in the office or building something on paper versus building it in a shop, experiencing something in virtual reality or experience it in real reality. The more impactful version of every one of those is doing it for real. And so to me, the change, like the 1900 to 2000 change, was real, tangible in what you felt on a day-to-day, what you experienced, what you touched on a day-to-day basis. The delta between 2025 and 2035, it may be bigger on a scale of convenience and entertainment, but it actually physically won't change a whole lot because you're still going to be sitting in very similar homes, businesses, vehicles, scenarios. So, and maybe we're taking the prompt out of context, because you know what I'm saying? I don't think from a dirt and water perspective you're gonna feel the same difference.
I think you might be right. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I think you might be right because if you look at like my grandmother is 96. She's 96 years old. She grew up in a house that had no plumbing and they didn't have a car. And I don't believe her house even had electricity. It had floors, so she didn't have dirt floors, but no plumbing, no electricity, and they had no car. That's how she grew up compared to your kid right now today. And she's still alive right now. And if you wanted to, right now, you could hop on a plane and be in Singapore in 30 hours. Every house has water and electricity now. Hell, you could even hop on a tablet and talk to somebody face to face through video halfway around the world. And so she's experienced that. Like, I mean, think about that for a minute. She went from living with no electricity and no plumbing to today's time where you have like an abundance of everything. Like I don't know if the next 10 years is going to be that big of a change because that's a big change when you think about it.
Seems like it to me. Seems like a drastic change.
Yeah.
So
like I'm sure when she was,
isn't that
late teens, early 20s, she didn't even imagine being able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's also like when you're building a business and like first year you make $100 and the second year you made $200. Okay, well you doubled. It's hard to double right? It's hard to double the impact over and over again or whatever, I guess is what we're saying. It's like ultimately you get to a point where like, okay, we've refined a lot of stuff. We're fine tuning it. We're fine tuning the human experience, but you're the invention of the airplane's pretty hard thing to top, right? What's the next thing, that could be that big and the invention of the car, that type of stuff. So anyway, it's interesting. So I appreciate the time to dive into that. And we'll see if these next 10 years change. I guess we'll redo this podcast. We'll be on Mars. If we do 50 a year, and that's 500 more podcasts. So 500
on 500 we'll be on Mars on the colony.
Yeah, and we'll do a podcast and we'll compare 2025 to 2035.
That's not a dig on Musk. I do think we'll eventually get to Mars or something else.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that'll be neat. Get to the moon, build us a moon base, get to Mars.
Okay.
Live on Mars. Build us an underwater city.
Yeah?
Or does that already exist?
I don't know.
I don't think that already exists.
Me neither. All right, we're going to go get some lunch. Thanks for joining us
Thank you.
On this podcast.